Life goes up and it goes down. I know my mom taught me that.
Bonsoir. No, that's not what I meant to say. I meant to say buongiorno. Hello, roller coaster riders, and welcome back to Roller Coasting with me, your host, Megano. I'm trying to wake myself up. I'm trying to just dive right on in there. If you are a video watcher, you will see from looking at me that I look shattered or I look terrible. That's up to you can decide. And let me just tell you, I feel as tired as I look. This is actually the first time I've ever came to the studio with my wee bare face. Normally slap some makeup on, but today there was simply no time. Today I went to PT this morning and I quickly got back. I had a quick shower, I sprayed some deodorant, I'd done some skincare, hopped in the car, and here I am. So there was no time for makeup. And do you know what? I'm honestly not mad about it. I love being able to touch my face. I love not having stuff suffocate my pores. Me in my natural form, I personally don't mind it at all. And now that I have revealed to you what is underneath the mask of makeup, you could probably get used to it. Maybe I'll show. This is perfect. I mean, I do look like Vector Perkins from Despicable Me. We can get him on screen. I do look like him in this tracksuit. People thought this was a joke when I wore this for the first time, a Halloween joke. No, it's very serious. I like colours and it is a gorgeous Adidas tracksuit. What does anyone know? What do you call that again? So Adidas in every letter stands for the next. This is how I know how to spell Adidas. A dog is doing a shite. Adidas. But other than looking like Vector Perkins, this is just me in my natural form. I did brush my hair. I did treat you to that this morning, but I'm kind of fine with it. I'm quite fine to rock up here looking like this, and maybe on an odd occasion, for a good occasion, I'll slap on some makeup. But if it is purely for coming here and sitting in my comfy yellow chair and chatting to you, you might be getting me more like this more often. This week has been crazy. I honestly feel like I'm actually a bit delirious from how tired I am. The social calendar at this time of year is not for the faint-hearted. It's just not to be messed with, the social calendar. And the one thing about me is I love to socialise. I love to do things. I love to party. But even this is too much for me. Like, I'm tapping out. I genuinely, I'm not free till New Year. I'm not free till not even the 1st of January. I have plans then as well. The 2nd of January is the first day that my calendar's free. And this is just the beginning. When am I going to get my Christmas tree up? I don't have time to get my Christmas tree up. I don't even know when I'm going to get my Christmas tree delivered. Actually, on the topic of Christmas trees, this really lovely company have gifted me a Christmas tree before, like to my mum and dad's house. And they were like, would you want one this year? And I said, absolutely, that would be great. But I am being quite picky. I need a 10-foot slim tree. Not a slim Jim, but not like, the taller a tree goes, the wider it goes as well. And I don't have the capacity for a really, really wide tree because my living room is actually quite a narrow space, but it's a tall space. So I'm like, sorry, if it's not 10 foot and slim, I kind of don't really want it. That makes me sound awful, but I don't. I'm particular on my tree. Last year, the Christmas tree, I'm definitely delirious. Last year, the Christmas tree, I get it delivered. It wasn't the same people who gave me it last year. They were also lovely. But anyway, the tree comes and the guy puts it in the wee stand for me. And I think you need to screw it in or something. Not anything that I would personally take anything to do with. I just sat back and let him do it. And then he was like, right, does that look okay to you? And I was like, sure, that's fine. So he leaves, and then I proceeded to spend 3 hours, I'm not even joking you, 3 hours. I watched 2 Christmas films decorating my Christmas tree, and I was myself, obviously, because I live alone. And I didn't bother putting any round the back because it is in the corner of my living room and no one can see the back. So I was like, I'll just put all my decorations on the front. So put them all up. I had a ladder because last year the Christmas tree was 9 foot. And I realised that was too short. This year I want 10 foot and no less. But last year I put all my decorations, and you can imagine how many decorations you need for a 9-foot tree. It's large. So I had a ladder, I was putting on all the decorations, 2 Christmas movies, banged out, done. And I finally step off the ladder and I go to the back of my living room to take it all in. I put the lights on and I walked to the back, and I got to the back of the living room and I was like, I was having to turn my head to get the full effect, and I realised that is about to fall. That Christmas tree is about to tumble down, and if that falls, I mean, I don't really know what would happen, but like my living room is full of trinkets and shit and what's that called? Just trinkets, clutter. It's full of clutter. So if that falls, it's a catastrophic event. So I FaceTime my dad and I was like, Dad, look at my tree, and he was like, that is about to fall. So get your decorations off and I'm going to come and I'm going to tie it to your window. That's what I had to do. After 3 hours of decorating a tree, I had to undecorate it. My dad came round, he got rope and tied it to my windows so it wouldn't fall and kind of pull it up. I think the problem is I didn't balance the weight. I put them all on one side. But anyway, that was a terrifying time decorating the tree last year, so it honestly can't get any worse than that. Okay, so back to this time of the year being chaotic for the social calendar. It is, but this week in particular has been extra chaotic and abnormal. So I went to Milan, hence the buongiorno. I went to Milan. Oh my god, that was a week ago already. Whoa, time genuinely flies. And my dad actually told me the other day that when you hit 50, time goes even quicker. I can't have time going any faster than it's going right now. Like, slow down, get the brakes on. Anyway, that was a week ago. I went to Milan with Callum and went to Milan, had a great time. Then we came back on Monday. This is another thing about Milan actually. Funny story. So we stayed in this really nice Airbnb. It was gorgeous, very cute. It was right in the city centre. But before we went, the guy who owns Airbnb was like, can you send a photo of both your passports? But we had to hold our passports up next to our face. And I didn't think that was weird, and it wasn't weird because I was like, well, he just isn't going to physically see us to check in. And normally if you check into somewhere, they do take your passports. So I was like, that's obviously very normal, that's fine. We done that. We got to Milan really late at night, and to open the door, I have never experienced this in my life. To open the door, you use your phone. So you have this app and you press open and the door just opens. It just bounces open. How crazy is that? So we're like, okay, this is cool. We'll get in. And then it did just feel kind of like eerie. It was a really like old Italian building, which was lovely. Great character. I love an old building. I stay in an old psychiatric hospital, just to put that out there. My building's like 250 years old, which is why it is freezing. Anyway, we get in and there's some noises. You know what it's like when you're getting used to somewhere new. And Callum was like, do you think it's weird that like you can open the door with your phone? And I said, not weird, but I think it is tremendous technology. Like, what on earth? But I mean, there's some clever clogs out there and they've obviously come up with this. And he was like, no, but someone else might be able to open it with their phone. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. And then he was like, what if they wanted a picture of our passports to see if you were nice looking? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, have you ever seen Taken? And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why would you say that to me? It's 1:30 in Milan and you're saying that maybe they've got my passport to see if I'm worthy of kidnap and they can get in with this phone. So I was like, why would you put that idea in my head? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, and you're sleeping closest to the door. I was like, oh my God. Anyway, woke up. No one took me out the whole time. No one disturbed us once. We were absolutely fine. But did fully prepare for Taken 3. Is there a Taken 3 already? I'm not sure. There's a Taken 3, Taken 4. And my dad would be the next Liam Neeson, and my dad would. I will find you and I will kill you. That would be my dad, but he wouldn't sound like that because he's Scottish. But then got back from Milan. So I came back from Milan on Monday and flew to Manchester. Then first thing Tuesday, I got a train home to Glasgow and I went to a concert. Then first thing Wednesday, train from Glasgow to Manchester to go to another concert. And this was for work. I went with JD or JD if you're English. Because when I say to English people JD, they're like, come again? Because they say JD. And I explained to them, when Scottish people say the alphabet, we say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Whereas they would say H, I, J. Isn't that crazy? So I went with JD and Converse to see Charlie XCX. Oh my God, if you know me, you know I'm a huge Charlie XCX fan. This is going to go down in history as one of my favourite jobs I've ever done. It was It was absolutely phenomenal. I went to this like big house in Manchester. It was like kind of out of the way, out of the city a bit. This big old house. It was so cool. And Converse had just like decked it out to like Charlie XCX all over the walls, Converse everywhere, all these big crazy cakes. There was all this chicken as well, all these chicken strips. I love a chicken strip. I did not leave the chicken strips for a good 40 minutes. Didn't have any table manners. I was just picking them right up and eating them. And the whole thing was all cool and crazy. There was like, in the living room, there was like 15 different TVs with Charlie XCX on them. This like immersive house experience. So went there and then we go to the concert. At the concert, it is in like a sort of box thing. So everyone who was with Converse got sat in this box. It was like myself and like lots of other influencers, but no one. I was the only person from JD, so other people were other with other brands. Anyway, we all got mingling. That's fine. And there is a free tab on in the box, and you could have as much wine as you wanted. So when all the work was done, I'd done everything I needed to do. I said, I'm going to have a couple of wines or 10, and the man working on the bar, I will always be friends with everyone. I'll always make small chat and smile away, and he must have clicked onto that because I seen the measures he was giving me and I seen the measures he was giving other people, and let's just say my wine was honestly double as full as everyone else's. So by the time the concert was over, I was kind of drunk, but not too drunk. I was a good drunk. Like I can remember the full night, which is honestly few and far between. That happens for me. We've normally always got a blackout on the cards, but I can remember the full night. And I left, and JD put me in a taxi to get back to Callum's flat because I was staying at Callum's flat being in Manchester. Which is also crazy. I've not come up for breath once. Which is also crazy. JD knew, like they said to my management when they booked me for the job, like we know Megan's partner lives in Manchester, so does she want to come and do this job? And I was like, when you actually deep that for a minute, how does JD Sports, where I have shopped since I was about 10 years old, how do they know that my boyfriend lives in Manchester? Like, how did that even happen? That, when you just think about that, that is absolutely bonkers. Anyway, they popped me in a taxi home and I get talking to the taxi driver. I'm either a taxi driver's worst nightmare or dream client, because I will chat to you the full time. I'm not someone who puts my headphones in and just sits on my phone. I'm going to talk to you and literally from the minute you pick me up to the minute you drop me off. So I get chatting to my taxi driver and I cannot for the life of me work out how this came up in conversation. But he basically told me, he was so nice, the taxi driver, he told me that when his daughter was born, she's absolutely fine. Now, he said that when his daughter was born, blood was coming out of her bum. What did I said, I know how that feels. I said, I had salmonella recently and oh my God, the blood coming out the bum. And I'm telling him all about that. And I literally we finally pulled up and I went to get out of the taxi and I said, I'm so sorry for that graphic story. And I'll tell you what, you're not the only person I've told this to. I've literally said this on a podcast for the whole world to hear. And he was just like laughing at it. But then this was so cute. When I left, he said, you're the friendliest person I've ever dropped off. I was tearing up. I was in the lift going up to Callum's flat. I was like, that's so nice. And then I got into Callum's flat and I could see he was asleep. No, he was pretending to be asleep so he didn't have to deal with me. But then I was being so nice. You know, I just got my jammies on. I just got into bed. And then he did eventually turn over. I was like, Callum, I need a McDonald's. And he was like, no, you don't need a McDonald's. He was like, I have made egg fried rice. Do you want a portion of that? And I was like, oh, that sounds absolutely delicious. So he goes and makes me the rice. I eat it in his bed. I'm spilling rice everywhere. And I lay down and oh no, it's like I had took a UFO to Mars. The place is spinning. I was like, oh no, Callum, I'm going to be sick. He's like, you're not going to be sick. And I said, no, I am. So I'm going to be sick on your bed. We've got about 5 seconds to spare. So he like whips me in the bathroom, puts my head up. And that's it. I'm being sick. The whole rice. It's as if I didn't even chew the rice. You could literally have just put my sick back into a bowl and had it the next day. Like, it literally was just sheer rice. So after I've been sick multiple times, I get into bed and I'm like, there must be something wrong with your rice. And he's like, the rice is fine. I have ate the rice. He was like, I think it's all the wine you drank. I was like, it can't be the wine. I was fine until I ate the rice. So I'm blaming his rice. And me and Erin were talking about that the other day. Why is it when you've had a drink and then you eat something or you go in a taxi, I'm like, that taxi must have been driving too fast because it made me sick. It's like, no, it's all the alcohol. Anyway, that was Wednesday, and then I got home last night, and then I got up this morning, I went to PT, now I'm here, and I honestly can't believe it, but I'm going out again tonight and tomorrow night. I can't keep up. Tonight I'm going to Edinburgh. I'm not even staying local. I'm going to Edinburgh, and then tomorrow. Now that this is absolutely lovely. Very excited. Nadine and her friend Jenna are doing their first ever BYOF. Bring your own friend. Get it? Like bring your own bottle, but this is bring your own friends. Fundraiser event. So it's going to be a spectacular time, and these are all memories that when I'm 80 years old and in a care home, I'm going to look back on and love. But right now, I'm exhausted. So guys, with all that in mind, it's fair to say that the brain isn't really working today. So I thought, now call this a cop-out if you will, but it's actually not, because I'll probably just really overshare and it should be quite a juicy episode for you. But I thought today we could do a wee Q&A. Since I have started this, we've not just had to sit down and just a nice catch up. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go over to Megano's mailbox for the questions. Ta-da! And in Megano's mailbox today, we of course have a phone, as we always do, but this isn't actually my second phone, this is my first phone. Last night when I got home, I was like, where's my phone? Like, I was in such bad mood, so I was so tired. I'm just exhausted, as you can probably tell. I need to stop banging on. Everyone's tired, Megan, we get it. But I was like to Cam, where's my phone? And he was just sitting on his own phone, minding his own business. Obviously, he doesn't know, he doesn't live there. And I was like, where's the phone? And I was kicking my jelly cats, and I was kicking stuff, and he was like, I'll tell you what, you won't find your phone by kicking your cuddly toys. I was like, why are you so calm? Anyway, I did find the phone. I didn't even need it. Anyway, let's kick things off with a question from Megano's mailbox. No rhyme, no reason, guys. Just jumping on in there. First question is, have you fell out with your close friend group from school? Sorry, I can't even read. Have you fell out with your close friends from school, like Erin? No. I don't know what gave that impression. I was with Erin the other night. We went to a concert together on Tuesday night. We had to sleep over. Actually, her alarm is if you know the one on the iPhone, it's like do-do-do-do. It's like a wee guitar. That goes off at 7:30. Erin's a nursery teacher. We got in kind of late. Like, we didn't have the best sleep. We got in, chatted loads, whatever. And that goes off at 7:30. And she's away to work in a nursery. And I thought, bless that girl's soul. Going to work with screaming kids, changing nappies. They have poo explosions. They be sick. Anyway, we have absolutely positively not fell out. We don't fall out ever. We don't ever argue. I am very lucky in the friends department. Thank you to whatever being up there blessed me with all my wonderful friends. But I have like my core group who I've been best friends with for 10 plus years. They're not going anywhere. There is absolutely nothing in this world that could separate us, unless like they murdered me or something. That genuinely would separate us, because I'd be dead and I couldn't be friends with them anymore. And that's kind of shit. Like, don't murder your friends. That's today's tip. But no, we just will never ever fall out. And I know that. There's few things in this life I'm sure of, but that is one of them. They're just my ride or dies. Literally, if they murdered me, that would be my ride or dies. Okay, lots of people have asked, how did you meet your new boyfriend? Someone said, you seem so much happier just now. Love the podcast so much. Thanks. I mean, I am a very happy bunny. How did we meet? We actually met 4 years ago at a house party, but I at the time had a boyfriend. You know, it was just very platonic. That's the first time I ever met him. I'd never seen him before. I'd never heard of him before, but we met at this house party in Edinburgh. And then fast forward to now, how we actually met was on my birthday. He slid into the DMs and said happy birthday. I'm pretty sure he sent a little birthday cake emoji, and that was it. I think it was just happy birthday. Hope you have a good day. That was literally it. And then we just spoke ever since. I feel like it's a very cute way of meeting someone. Like, we actually did meet for the first time in person, but it was purely as friends. And this is where the meeting people twice theory comes into it. Has anyone heard of that? Because when I talk to people about it, they're like, the what? And maybe I only know about it because it's on my For You page because I'm in the situation. But the meeting people twice theory, let me actually Google it, because I'll definitely... I have Raynaud's disease, and Does anyone know what that is either? I can feel it in my finger. Basically, it's when you have, I can feel it in my fingers, feel it in my toes. That is Raynaud's disease. But Raynaud's disease is when you have bad blood circulation, and if you're cold, the blood leaves your fingers, toes, and nose. I can feel it in my toes as well, but I can feel it coming on in my finger. Anyway, sidetracked. Let's see what meeting people twice theory actually is on Google, if it's on Google. Maybe it's just on TikTok. Meeting people twice theory romance. Let's see. What is the dating theory of meeting people twice? The meeting someone twice theory, the idea behind meeting people twice theory is that if someone, is truly meant to be in your life, you'll cross paths with them more than once. The universe has a way of bringing you back together even after you've gone separate ways. I mean, that is just probably one of those things you could say about anything in life. But I love a quote, as we know, even though they might be a little bit off sometimes, and I love a reason. Like, I always like to say, like, oh my god, this all happened for a reason. Like, I like sidekicks, I like angel numbers, and I like the meeting people twice theory, and I do believe that. I feel like obviously that first time we met, it simply wasn't the right time. I was in a relationship, we were young, it just wouldn't have been what it is, how it is right now. So that's when we officially met, was 4 years ago, but we actually properly met in the sense that we know each other now, because he slid into my DMs and said happy birthday. But as I've said in last week's episode, it took a very long time to ask me out on a date, so we didn't meet for months after that. But I am very happy. I feel like we're very alike. He's a big silly Billy, even though he doesn't look like or first come across as a silly Billy. Like, when we went on our first couple of dates, I was like, not getting major silly vibes, and I need a silly monster, but he's a silly Billy. And it's going well. Someone asked on the back of Callum, how are you finding long distance? So happy for you. Thanks, Taylor, who wrote that question in. How am I finding long distance? I'm not going to lie. I feel like our situation is really easy. I feel like there's people who do long distance who have it so much harder. Like, see if you have to get a plane. Jesus, that's a slog, not a slug. It's a slog. That would be a lot, because getting your passport out, remembering your passport, you either taking hand luggage, which restricts you to all those miniature little toiletries and you only get to bring so many, or paying for a big case, like all those things you need to take into consideration. That's a lot. So I feel very grateful that we are a train journey away. And like I said before, I'm very lucky with my job. Like, it's so flexible that I can go and spend more time there. Because say I worked like my old job, for example, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, that would mean I couldn't get a train until like 6 p.m. on a Friday. I wouldn't get to Manchester till like 9:30 at night, and then I'd need to leave on the Sunday at like tea time. I need to leave at like 5. That would feel a lot harder and a lot more restricting. So I think I say we're long distance because we don't live in the same country, but it doesn't feel like we're not going weeks and weeks and weeks without seeing each other. So I feel like on the long distance spectrum, we've got it quite easy. And I'm actually kind of loving it. Like, I do like my own space. I like my own company. I have like a very sort of routined lifestyle. And if someone is in my space, even if I want them to be, it does disrupt my routine, and I don't really like that. So I like that when we're apart, I just get on with my life as normal. I see my friends, I do normal things, I go to the gym, I get on with my work, I'm not distracted. So for the moment, I think it works really well. And I love going to Manchester. I love being there. It's fun. There's so many new restaurants for me to try, new bars for me to go to. So far, so good, which is funny because I always said I will never be in a long distance relationship. Like, before I met Callum, I was like, I don't get it. I physically don't get it. There's 7 billion people in the world. You can find someone who lives near you. Like, I just didn't understand it. But it's not until you're in this situation that you think, okay, this is worth, what's miles and distance when there's love. And it's working really well. I actually love it. I would recommend long distance to anyone. Someone said, what psychic did you go to and what did they say? So I went to a psychic way back in like January. It was at the start of the year, and I do want to go back, or do I want to go back? I'm not sure, because I go to a psychic when I need an answer. And that's not really what you should do. I've been to many psychics over the year. My family have been to psychics. My family have some wild psychic stories. I won't share them because they're not my stories to share. But like, I mean, jaw dropping what the actual fudge sticks. It's crazy. But I go to psychic when I want an answer to something. Like if I'm like going through a rough patch or I need spiritual guidance, that's when I go to a psychic. And you shouldn't really do that because you might go and then be a bit like let down that they don't have the answers. But they always have the answers for me. But I went to a psychic. I won't say her name's Laura. I won't put her number on the screen in case she doesn't want me to, but I can text her. And if she says that I'm trying to dish out her number, you can message me on rollercoaster and I'll send you. I'm sure she'll appreciate it. It's business at the end of the day for Laura. But anyway, Laura's great. And basically I went at a time when I was about to go through a breakup and she just solidified absolutely everything. Like everything she said, I was like, that is what I've been thinking, or it turned out to be true. It was absolutely wild. What else did she say? Oh my God. I actually came to this realisation the other week and I told Nadine and she was like, I have shivers down my spine. This was mental. I actually ended up being in the psychic for 2 hours and it was supposed to be 1. She didn't have someone after me, so it was fine. Obviously, she could run on. So I ended up being there for 2 hours because we just had so much to chat about. And I think part of going to a psychic is you need to be very open-minded. Like if you go in like guarded with your walls up and you're like, this is a load of baloney, what even is baloney? Then it probably won't work. But I'm either gullible or just very open-minded, and I'll believe anything anyone tells me. So I just go in there and I'm just happy to hear it. But I stayed in there for ages. She was talking about loads of different things like relationships, work, and then she actually said to me, because I left myself like I left like a little bit scared, because she said, now you are at some point this year going to get quite unwell, and like it will be quite seriously unwell, but like you'll be fine. She said there'll be a lot of like blood tests and like they won't really know what's wrong with you. And I remember being like, oh no, because I hate getting my blood taken. Like I know I have loads of tattoos, but tattoos and getting your blood taken are not the same. Doctors always like to say, oh, but look at you, you're covered in tattoos. A tattoo is for pleasure and it just scratches your skin, whereas this is because there's something wrong with me and you are literally taking my blood supply from my body, from my literal veins. They are not the same. They are not. But anyway, she was like, you'll get lots of blood tests and they won't really know what's wrong with you, but you genuinely will be fine. And I left like, oh my God, like what's going to be wrong with me? And I got salmonella. And I had so many blood tests. I got a blood test like 5 times a day for 4 days. That's like 20 blood tests. And at one point on the last day, the guy came in and I was like, are you going to leave me with any blood? Because I was just sick to the back teeth of it. And remember, they didn't know what was wrong with me. They actually were sending my blood to like specialist teams in London and stuff because they had no idea what was wrong with me. And then eventually it came back that I had salmonella. So that was a really crazy, like, you don't know when it's going to happen when you go to a psychic. It could be next week, it could be next year, it could be in 10 years. But when they do, when the things do happen, you're like, what? Like, what on earth? Anyway, she told me loads of stuff, but she did foresee my illness. And everything she said about a relationship type of front all worked out to be quite real as well. Weird. Spooky. Do you get drunk at work events? Yeah, I do. I mean, I always try to remain to be professional. You are at work at the end of the day, but you know, you just can kind of judge like when you're at somewhere, like, is this a place that I could get drunk at, or is this a place I shouldn't get drunk at? So you just go off of the vibes. Like Charlie XCX, I did have a few wines and I probably did end up quite drunk, but I had done all my work and I was to let my hair down and just enjoy Charlie XCX. And I mean, Charlie XCX is all about, you know, she's just all about having fun and going out and being a brat, having a brat summer, which I definitely had a brat summer. Charlie XCX, like, her music talks to me, and that might be bad. You know, like people say this music speaks to me, like Adele speaks to me because she gets so on her feels. Well, Charlie XCX talks all about going out and having a good time, and that speaks to me. That speaks volumes to me somewhere in my soul. So I did, in true brat style, get a little bit drunk and crunk, but in in a very professional way. I actually got some lovely feedback from JD the next day, so all was well. So you just have to read the room. It's like any situation, just read the room. One thing I think I'm good at doing is reading the room. Like, I think I have good social awareness, if I do say so myself. Like, you know, sometimes I'll be in a situation and someone might be telling a story and I just think, why are you telling this story? Like, you should not be telling this story to this room. No, saying that, I did tell my taxi driver the other night that my bum was bleeding. But I mean, if he was quite happy to hear the story, he could relate because his daughter had the same problem. But that was because I was intoxicated. But I suppose that does take me back to reading the room. I think I can read the room. He was happy to hear it. He wasn't uncomfortable and he told me I was very friendly. But yeah, one thing I'll really cringe out if I'm like in a room with people and like someone's telling a story, like say they're like, oh, they're just telling a story that I know everyone else in that room like thinks is embarrassing. I'm just there like, why do they not know this is embarrassing? Why? Someone said, if you could switch careers tomorrow and do anything, what are you doing? I love my career, job, or whatever you would call this. So I'm not looking to switch. But if I could say it was for a day or something, I would definitely be a pop star. That was always my dream. And I really believed that was going to happen for me. Like, I used to make my little brother, when my mum and dad would go out, because I'd be embarrassed to do it in front of mum and dad, but if they'd go out, I'd make Paul sit on the couch and I would sing to him. And I'd be like, give me feedback. And he'd just be like, oh, it's pretty bad. Like, he just didn't care. I genuinely believed I was going to be a pop star. I'd literally look in the mirror and be like, talking about, you know, if you won the X Factor, it's like you talk about how much this would mean to you. And I'd always prepare my speech. But my mum and dad did break the news to me, I think I was around 17, that you can't sing. Another embarrassing thing is I'd done music in high school in 5th year, so I'm 17 at that point, and my instruments were, you picked 2 instruments. My instruments were guitar, which I was also shit at, and voice. And my music teacher was like, I think you have to pick one instrument that's your stronger instrument. She was like, I think you should make your stronger instrument your guitar. And I was like, really? I said, because I'm not very good at playing the guitar. Like, I'm just learning, whereas I've sang my whole life. And she's like, no, I think it should be guitar. So guitar was my stronger instrument, even though I was shit at that. But that's obviously because she knew I couldn't sing, but I thought I could. But I would get up in front of the class and sing to the whole class, like to practice. That's so embarrassing. Anyone who was in my music class, you'll remember it. You will. But at least I own it. That's something I can just talk about and admit that I am atrocious at singing, and I didn't know that for a long time. But I would swap careers if I could sing and be a pop star, because again, to bring Charlie XX up, when I was looking at her in this whole arena, the whole Co-op Live of Manchester are all just looking at her and singing her songs, like, that must be euphoric. And I would love to experience that. So the most asked question I have today, and I always get, and I totally understand why people ask, is something that, and I mean, you probably know what I'm talking about if you've sent in a question, it's something that I'm probably never, ever, ever going to talk about. Some things are better left unsaid. And the older I get and the ever so slightly wiser I get, I realise that you actually don't have to talk about everything. And I find that hard. As you know, I find that hard to keep my mouth shut. I just blab all day long. But some things are better left unsaid, and some things don't always need an explanation. And I really do get it. And I find it hard not to just like share with my besties what's like anything that's happened. But some things are better left unsaid, and it is good just to take the high road, and there's no need to explain certain things. I get it, I really do. I hope you know what I'm talking about, because I'm sort of speaking in Morse code here. But if you ask the question, you'll know that this is the answer. I'm never gonna talk about anything that would cause dramas or anything. Who's got time? No drama llama. I'm just here for a good time, not a long time. And that is that. Someone said, did you enjoy Thailand besides being poisoned, lol? What jags did you get? Yes, you know, I did enjoy Thailand. It was very out of my comfort zone because we were getting up and moving around the whole time. Like, we didn't stay in anywhere for any longer than like 3 nights. And I am just a creature of habit. Like, that's one thing about me, is I take quite a while to settle into places, and when I'm settled, I'm settled. So I'm not very good at like getting up and moving about from A to B to C to D to D to E. So that is something that I like found quite difficult. But I had a fantastic time. Like, I was literally with my best friends. I was with Star, who moved to Australia. I hadn't seen her in 2 years. Like, we laughed from start to finish. Maybe not finish, because on the last day I was literally low-key dying. But from the first day to day 15, we laughed so hard. We had such a great time. You know, there's memories that will just be forever ingrained in my brain. And it was fantastic. It was totally out of my comfort zone. It was something new. I seen a whole side of the world that I didn't even know existed before. So I did enjoy it. And I don't regret going, which is wild to say, but now that I'm fully back to my full health and I have not died, I don't regret going. I don't. I think it was a great time. I had a lot of fun. It was a good life experience. And I'll tell you what, the salmonella story is the gift that keeps on giving. I love telling that story. Like, now I really can't laugh about it. I'm telling Uber drivers in Manchester, like, there is no ends to this Thailand salmonella story. So, in some weird way, thank you to the Mexican restaurant who gave me salmonella. You have provided many laughs and many conversation fillers. Someone said, do you find it weird that your ex and your boyfriend have the same name? Do I find it weird? No. Do I think it is a hilarious coincidence? Yes. It is wild because I've had 3 boyfriends and 2 of them have the same name. The chances of that are probably quite slim. But then again, there's so many Callums in the world. Even Nadine's boyfriend is called Callum. You can't escape the Callums. One of Callum's best friends is called Callum. There's so many Callums out there. And also, it is a different spelling. So it is technically a different name because it's spelled differently. I don't think it's weird. I think it is just a huge coinky dink. And it was kind of funny in the beginning. Like, I would talk about my boyfriend and be like, Callum, and people's face would drop. They'd be like, like, thinking I'm like talking about an ex-boyfriend. No, I'm like, guys, catch up, right? But no, we're fine. We're past that now. That was just merely teething issues. I don't think it's weird at all. Different spelling, different person. Nothing weird, just a funny coincidence. What is your stance on casual dating versus serious relationship? So for me, casual dating is not an option. Casual dating, no. I, as we all know, am a lover girl. I'm a relationship type of person, and I don't think I like fall in love like really quickly and easily. Maybe my friends would disagree, but like, I always feel differently towards different people, obviously, right? Like, I don't just like fall in love with anyone with a pulse. There is some requirements there. And like, how I feel currently in my current relationship is different to how I've ever felt in the past, because it's different people, obviously. But I couldn't do casual with anyone, I don't think, because I'm just not a casual person. I'm not casual in any way, shape or form. There's nothing casual about me. I'm up to high dough. I'm utter chaos, and I'm quite manic. So casual is just not something I do, unless it's wearing a casual tracksuit. Although, would you call this a casual tracksuit? Probably not. To some people, this is quite a crazy tracksuit. Some people think this is fancy dress, as Victor Perkins from the Minions. So casual for me is just not a thing. I need to know if I am talking to someone or seeing someone that I'm the only person they're also talking to. Like, it is just not for me. Like, is casual dating essentially friends with benefits? Because fuck that. Literally fuck that so much. I can't think of anything worse. I need to know, and that is something I lay the ground rules early on. I say, if this is going to turn into anything, I better be the only person on your roster. And if I'm not, that's fine. But see ya. You either have me and no one else, or you have everyone else and not me. And that's just how I roll. I'm definitely a serious relationship person. Monogamous, is that the word? Yes, that's definitely the life for me. No casualness around here. There's a couple of questions alluding to the same thing, and it is basically saying like how I've obviously posted my boyfriend, posted photos with him, been in YouTube videos, whatever. And does that make me nervous considering anything that, if I've ever done that in the past? Does it make me nervous? Yeah, a little bit. Because obviously there's always that what if. But the way that I live my life in any way, shape or form, whether it's this situation or other situations, is you can only do what feels right in the moment. If you're going to live life in fear of what might happen further down the line, it is going to be quite an empty life. Like, if I was to not post anything on my boyfriend, so I'm like, oh my God, imagine we broke up one day. I really hope we don't, but imagine we did. Then I'm like, well, that's just a kind of shit way for me to live personally. And for me, my whole purpose in social media is I like to talk, if you hadn't already noticed. I like to talk. I like to share what I got up to in my life. Like, I wouldn't say I'm like a fashion icon. I mean, if you want to call me that, fine, I won't stop you. But that's not really what I set out to do. Like, I don't set out to inspire the nation on how to dress, because I can hardly dress myself sometimes. So if I'm posting on social media, it's because I want to share fun moments in my life. I want to have a laugh. I want to sometimes be relatable. I don't know if I can say that about myself. I think sometimes I'm relatable. That's what I like to do. And I like to post with my friends. I like to post with my family. I like to post with my boyfriend. I kind of film and talk about everything in my life. So it'd actually be an effort to not have my boyfriend in content. I get it, and I get why people don't do it, but for me that just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. I'm too much of an open book. And if it does go tits up in the future, like it maybe has done in the past, I just need to take that on the chin. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward, but hey, anything can be deleted. Let's finish up on one last question, and it is give your 18-year-old advice. Oh, I think this is meant to say if you were to give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be? Wow, 18. Ew, that was almost 10 years ago. What the fuck? That is crazy. I remember my 18th like it was yesterday. I looked terrible on my 18th. I'll put in a picture of what I looked. You won't even know. You will not know this is me. Like, why did I look like? Why did I look like that? I actually remember I came out my 18th. It was the day of my 18th birthday party. I came out of getting my makeup done. I got in my dad's car and he went, "You look like a traffic cone." Not much has changed. I look like a traffic cone today as well. But for different reasons, very different reasons. I will put up a picture. I looked literally horrific and I thought I looked like the bee's knees as well. Oh my God, it was so bad. I'll probably look back on this and think the same in 10 years to come. But if I was to go back to being 18, my advice would be life's not that serious. It's actually not. We're all on a floating rock and everyone has their own shit going on. Like, don't think about what other people think, too much. I think about what my family think and my loved ones think, yes. But don't be scared to follow your dreams and, think outside the box and be a bit weird and do, for example, what I looked like on my 18th. I looked like that because that was, what everyone kind of looked like at that time. Not because I was, having any individuality or whatever. That's because I was too scared to do anything different. I lived a very different life back then. I'd be just done what all the popular people done. No, boring. Move on. Life's not that deep. It will be full of ups and downs. Rollercoaster, pardon the pun, but you will be fine. You'll always get out the other end. And, when things are bad and you do something embarrassing or whatever, we're all just on a floating rock and everyone's got their own shit going on. Honestly, nobody really, really cares. And everything always blows over. Is that advice? I'm not sure. My advice is you're on a floating rock, babe, and you're going to be all right in one way or another. And that, guys, is going to conclude us for today because, believe it or not, I need to go and get myself ready for this night out in Edinburgh. I am shattered. It's going to do you know what it's going to be time for? A monster energy can. Although my stomach has not been playing ball this week. I think it is the amount of alcohol I've drank and the lack of sleep I've had. The stomach is not, she's not having a good time. So I don't think the monster is going to really help, but it's just desperate times call for desperate measures. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this was still a fun episode. And remember, you can watch full-length videos on YouTube if you're not already. Please like and subscribe. It would really mean a lot. You can still listen wherever you get your podcast on whatever platform. And also, I do post little short teaser clips on Instagram and on TikTok. So please be sure to follow me there too. Also, and of course, you can always follow my personal accounts, Megan Welsh. I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, and I'm on TikTok, because you can't get enough of me. Thank you so much for joining. It really does mean the world, and I will see you next week. Bye.